It's a pretty common occurrence whenever the topic of discussion is politics or things that I post on my social media, on my Instagram specifically, uh, where the people at work who follow me on my social media, they always say that they can never predict what I'm going to post, or they can never really put their finger on what it is that I believe. Because I mean, I've discussed it previously, even with them, even with my coworkers and my friends and whatnot. But I don't try to make it I don't try to preach, and I don't try to, which maybe I should, but I don't try to preach. I don't try to throw my worldview and my beliefs into people's face. But it's kind of funny how they can never they always say that they can't put their finger on me, and then figure out what my worldview is or what my political ideology is. And the reason for it is because you can't fit me into any political box. You can't fit me into any sort of political ideology, because the very essence of my worldview, the very essence of my, like, the core of my belief system is entirely apolitical. It's anti-political, truly. It's this recognition of the fact that the entire idea, the entire concept of politics, of democracy, of ruling classes, of these types of things is just completely asinine and absolutely destructive, and provably so. I mean, throughout history, if you're not lying to yourself, if you come at history from a fresh slate, from an entirely objective point of view, you cannot help but recognize that just the sheer destructive force that is the belief in authority, the belief in government, regardless of whatever flavor, whichever flavor is your favorite. And so it's always a fun thing to be able to, the ability of people such as myself to piss off literally any faction of political belief is really, it's really entertaining. Like, it's the fact that you can piss off people on the left and you can piss off people on the right just as easily, is it's kind of a superpower in some way, but then in another way it's also like, it just, after a while it makes you, it can black pill you, in the sense that you just come to realize that people are still just as immersed in their political beliefs and their political ideologies and their beliefs that, oh, if only I had the reins of power, if only I had the ring of power. Again, there's that Lord of the Rings reference. If only I had that power, then things would be good. Then I would get rid of all this corruption. If you're on the left and you're like, oh, I would get rid of all these right-wing politicians doing the right-wing thing, and funding Israel or whatever leftists are angry at government for. And then if you're on the right, then you're like, oh, I'm going to get rid of all this fraudulent spending and all of this welfare spending and all whatever. And people just still, hook, line, and sinker, they believe in politics. They believe that it's the source of change, that it's the only way that we can reasonably change things for the better, and that it's never going away, and that for the rest of eternity, both this planet and everywhere else is always going to be, there's always going to be political authority and coercive hierarchies like that, which, if you didn't know, the only difference between, is a really good quote, the only difference between government and mafia is that the mafia doesn't have a several thousand hour indoctrination system to convince its subjects that its services are not the mafia or are necessary or whatever. And it's super true. Like it's that's really all it is. So it's both, it's very entertaining to be an anarchist. It's funny at times. It's very, very sobering to be an anarchist, but at the same time, it's kind of depressing at the same time, because you see that people are, like, a lot of people, and granted it's not everybody, like some people are waking up and some people are starting to recognize patterns and realize things. But the unfortunate thing is that a lot of even those people are coming to the wrong conclusions, or coming to, they're just coming right back to the whole thing of, well, if we gained power, if we took the reins of this system, then we can fix it. Like there's always a reversion to a political solution. And it's by design, really, because, and that's what's also so, that's what's also so incredible. And it's to the credit of the people controlling all of this, the opinion molders and the social engineers that have designed all of this, the ancient psychologists, they've designed it in such a way that it's just so difficult for people to come out of that political box, right? With all of its different compartments that you can put yourself in. It's so difficult for people to just recognize just how big the sham is, how big of a scam it is that we live under in this existence, on this planet, regardless of which corner of the planet you're in. They made it so difficult for people to recognize it for what it is. And props to them. I mean, it's honestly, like, it's really impressive what they've done, over the generations. But I think that ultimately it's only going to be a certain amount of time, because I don't think it can go on forever. Like, I don't see it going on forever, but it's going to go on for as long as it takes for people to give up on their religions. It's only going to take as long, and I don't mean when I say religions, I don't mean specifically like the cultural religions exclusively. I'm not excluding that either. Not like Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, all that stuff. But I just mean their religious beliefs in money, in government, in all of those sorts of things, in authority. All of this is just going to continue, and the cycle of history is going to continue, like I mentioned before in previous videos, where the cycles of tyranny and subjugation and, emancipation, then something resembling freedom, and then eventually people getting lazy again, and then tyranny happening again, and then just the whole easy times create weak men create hard times create strong men, etc. Right? That is most pertinent. That saying, weak men, is most pertinent to the person who recognizes the sham for what it is. The person who recognizes that democracy democracy is the biggest scam. It's the most effective scam that the tyrants of this world have devised, because it makes people think that they have agency when they don't. Like when all of their choices are predetermined for them and handed to them, and they're made to think that they actually have a choice in the matter when they don't. And they don't. Nobody in any democratic system has any say or has any true choice. The only choice that they have is to choose their favorite psychopath in the closet booth every 4 years. That's the choice that they have. The people who recognize that scam for what it is are the people who truly know the true meaning of that saying, weak men create hard times. Nobody else who believes in any form of government, monarchy, democracy, oligarchy, name it, right? You name it. Anybody who believes in political authority is not going to be able to grasp fully the saying, weak men create hard times. Thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.